Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors. It's November 18th at 4 o'clock, and we're in the Community Center, the Sierra Room. Linda, can I get a roll call?
Trish Trenoweth.
Present.
Mike Jones.
Present.
Mike Santos.
Here.
Stacy Giomi.
Here.
Mike Ricks is absent. We have a quorum.
I can ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'll ask any public comment. The public is invited at this time to comment on and discuss any topic that's relevant or within the authority of this public body. Sharon, how are you?
Thank you. I'm Sharon Ross with Capital City Arts Initiative, and we just installed our new show here in the Sierra Room, so I wanted to introduce you to it. There are 9 artists from Northern Nevada, and we have work pastel landscapes and sculpture and fiber pieces, and it will be in here until whatever it says on the flyer. I think it is until late February, and you are all invited. I know you spend a lot of time in this room, but on Wednesday, December 4th, you're invited to come meet the artists and have a glass of wine with CCAI. So they're all going to do very short talks about their work at 5:30. So we hope you enjoy the exhibition. I also handed out a copy of the essay that we produced, commissioned for Los Saludos Amigos. It's our exhibition over at the courthouse, which is abstract pieces. It's sort of like walking to the inside of a piñata. We had 107 hours of volunteer help by 24 people helping to install the piece. The youngest was in 8th grade, the oldest were grandparents. And it will be up through the end of January, and we hope you get a chance to see. Our student exhibition, our student shows over at the Brick, we currently have 9 UNR BFA students with variety of work over there. We're very proud of that show, very proud of that show, period. And I also took the liberty of giving you a handout that was published in the Reno Gazette in September. I thought it had some very good points about business supports for the arts, and so I hope you enjoy the read. Our CCAI's artist and education activities are continuing at high schools and Sierra Nevada College and all the way out at Silver Stage Middle School in Silver Springs. Are there any questions? Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, Chair. Moving along to item 5 on possible adoption of the minutes. Karen?
I'm just going to chime in for the record. On the agenda is approval of minutes for the September 13th, 2019 meeting. I just wanted to note that the open meeting law does require meeting minutes to be approved by the next meeting or within 45 days, whichever occurs later, unless good cause is shown. And at the last meeting, there were not the votes to approve the meeting minutes from the September meeting, which is why they're being approved at this meeting. Thanks.
Peering. Just for the record, Dave Peterson, we cannot approve those again because we're missing member Riggs today, so we'll have to push that forward to the December.
So a vote can be taken. Just to clarify on abstaining for voting on minutes, it's not a required abstention if you were not at the meeting. So you can vote to approve the minutes if you were not at the meeting. It's not a vote of accuracy, it's an approval of the minutes. If a member is uncomfortable voting, they may abstain, an option to abstain. So we'll have to see if they pass, and if they don't, they can be re-agendized as there's no vote to approve them this time.
All right. So why don't we start with, if I can get a motion for the approval of minutes for the September 13th, 2019 meeting.
let's see if I do this right. I vote that we approve the board meeting minutes from September 13th, 2019 meeting as presented.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes passed for the September 13th meeting. Now moving on to October 14th, 2019 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, I move to approve the October 14, 2019 CTA board minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Moving on to item 6, adoption of the agenda. I don't think there's any reason to move anything around on the agenda, so I suggest we move forward as posted. So that moves us on to item 7, discussion and possible action to approve the fiscal year 19 annual audit report and financial statement. David?
Yeah, I'll just briefly introduce Beth Coyne with Eide Bailey, and she's going to be presenting the fiscal 19 audit report and CTA financial statements as of June 30, 2019 for possible approval by the board. So with that, I'll turn it over to Beth.
Thank you. For the record, Beth Cohn-Cole. In your packet, you should have 2 items that relate to the audit. One is a 4-page letter, which is a required board communication letter. And basically, we just summarize your responsibilities, our responsibilities, any significant estimates that are embodied in the financials, and the primary estimates in your financials relate to post-employee retirement benefits and health insurance benefits. So those are estimates based on the existing composition of staffing and the PERS liability that exists. On page 3, I guess there's no page numbers. On page 3, the 3rd page of the letter summarizes our adjustments, both for the basic financial statements and the government-wide financial statements. I like to say that governmental financial statements are confusing. There's like 2 sets of books. One is the general fund, is the budget that you maintain your financial records on, and one is the government-wide financial statements, which includes those other liabilities that theoretically you're not going to write a check tomorrow for. So on the full accrual. So we disclosed our footnote, our adjustments there. Moving into the audit. Our audit opinion is a clean audit opinion on the 2019 financial statements. We did have to do a prior period adjustment to the June 30, 2018 financial statements. Those financial statements reflected a payable to the Carson City for their 1% for services that they perform for you. And that payable really shouldn't have been booked because that expense was reflected somewhere else, and I didn't know that it was reflected somewhere else. So we actually had proposed the adjustment as Cohen & Company, my predecessor firm, and then now I'm reversing it. I'd like to briefly review the budget to actual, because to me, that's really what you're concerned with as a board. And that starts, it's a big financial. That's on page 30. So your budgeted revenue was better than budget by approximately, your actual revenue was better than budget by approximately $33,000. Your expenditures in total were better than budget by $170,000. Although you will see that we did have to do an audit finding with Nevada revised statutes because you overexpended in your general government fund by $55,000, even though you underspent in your culture and recreation fund. So in total, you were okay, but we're still required to disclose that because they go by function on your budget. Your excess of revenue over expenses in the actual column were $200,000. So your expenditures actually exceeded your revenue by $200,000. You transferred in from your other funds room tax money of $410,000. So your change in fund balance was approximately $210,000 for the year. So your financial position is good. The other two funds relate to the capital project funds on page 34 and 35. And on page 34, your capital project fund consists of the TNT money, transient lodging tax, and a little bit of investment income, and then your intergovernmental expenditures of $406,000. So that was basically a wash in the capital projects fund. Your V&T capital projects fund, as you approved, is declining with the funds being transferred out into the general fund for culture and rec. So you collected a lodging tax of $410,000, room tax. You spent $155,000 to the V&T, and then you transferred out to your general fund $410,000. And then the audit findings, just so you know, is listed on page 40, as I discussed. That was the prior period adjustment. I'm happy to go through more, but that's the basics of your financials.
Any questions?
On the, so on the one item that you noted on page 30 regarding the overage in the general government category, should we have done an in-year augmentation or an end-of-the-year augmentation to fix that? Is that what we would have done, or?
Yeah, there was an augmentation, but what happened was Linda's, one of the staff members' salary was budgeted in culture and rec, but charged to general government, so it was just a flip. I think Chris knows now, and she's gonna
Okay.
make sure it doesn't happen again. Yeah.
Wrong line. Any other questions by the board? If there's no other questions, can we get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority's audit report and financial statements for fiscal year 19.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you. I just publicly like to thank Chris. She does an amazing job for you, and she's really responsive and on top of everything, so I'd like
Even
to
with the
publicly
mistake.
recognize her.
Okay. No, we're thrilled to have her.
Thanks, Bill.
On to item 8, marketing update from KPS3.
All right, for the record, Andy Walden. With me today, I have Jenna Hubert as well as Lindsay Crone. All right, so wanted to give just a brief introduction on some of the work that we've been doing over the past few weeks. And so we have been very busy. We have been working on the website, so we are on target for our end of year launch date. So everything is looking good in that respect. And then in addition, we have been finalizing the brand side. And so we are going to be awaiting and getting your feedback in December and are very excited to be able to share that with you. All right, so today we do have a bit of an agenda. We are going to be covering the tagline considerations, and then we are going to go over the fall photo shoot, as well as the Travel Nevada media mission. And then we also are going to get an update on the PR side with Lindsay. And with that, let me hand it over to Jenna.
So for the record, Jenna Hubert from KPS3. So what we have here to present to you guys is a set of working taglines that we've been going through. And so what we'd like from the board today is to receive your input and be sure that directionally we're going it the right way and we're in alignment with our brand pillars. We are still developing logo at this point, but all of these pieces will come together to inform our overall Visit Carson City brand. So we felt that it was appropriate to get these in front of you guys at this moment and just make sure that we're all in alignment with this set being going in the right direction. So I'm going to go through them one by one, and then I do have a slide with all 5 of them, at which point we can discuss those options. So our first tagline consideration is recharge your Western spirit. Second up, we have history abounds, adventure surrounds. The heart and history of Nevada. Where history lives and adventure awaits. And Nevada's heart beats here. So this is the full list of all of those taglines. And again, we're really looking to make sure that directionally we are on the right path. And of course, that these are supporting our brand pillars, which as a reminder, when we did our guiding principles, those are that we are family friendly, rich in history, have room to wander, have an inclusive community, and a large emphasis on heritage and cultural influence.
I'll start.
Great.
I've sort of narrowed it down to 3. I thought recharge your Western spirit is just too general. It could, I don't know, relate to anywhere. I don't think it speaks to history. And I kind of like history abounds, adventure surrounds. I would say that's one. I like Nevada's heart beats here. And the heart and history of Nevada. Any that have history and somewhat speaks to adventure and individualism, I think, is what I think appeals to me and would appeal to our audience. But I don't know if anyone else has any
Thank you for
comments
that
on
feedback.
it.
I kind of agree. When I think of the Western spirit, I think old school, people think like cowboy and Indian, like it kind of connotates that to me. But I really like Nevada's heartbeats here. I think that's good. When history abounds, adventure surrounds is good too.
History abounds, adventure surrounds to me sounds corny. It just sounds corny. It doesn't sound genuine. It sounds like you're trying to make up a tagline. That's just how it affects me. My favorite, far and away, is where history lives and adventure awaits. I think it captures everything we're trying to capture. It talks about history. I really think we're missing the bone if we don't promote adventure, especially if we're going to continue with the off-road race that we're doing, and we've just brought another one on. I think we're crazy to not have adventure somewhere in there. I do like Nevada's heartbeats here, but it really doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything. I don't, if you read that, you're left wondering, what does that mean? And what are we saying about the rest of Nevada by saying that? It almost feels like we're doing something at the expense of the rest of the state. And maybe we want to do that, I don't know. But maybe that's exactly what we want to do. So that's my input.
I would agree. I like having history a part of it. I took it differently. Nevada heart beats here. It's sort of that tied in with we're the hub and everything starts here and it's the heart and then you move on, you go out. But I understand. I think history and adventure both have to be part of it.
Yeah, where history lives and adventure awaits caught me right away, and I think it just showcases everything that we have to offer here. And so that was definitely the one that caught my attention right off the bat when I saw the taglines.
I mean, the other thing, obviously, we know we want to capture is that we want to be the hub. So the adventure awaits sort of, to me, is a launching point for that, because then you can launch off of the adventure with just that. This is the hub. Here's the adventures you can take. A day at Lake Tahoe, a day in Virginia City, a day at the golf course, a day on the trails. I just think it gets us to where we want to be. It seems like the paths to the pillars can feed off of that easier. Do I sound like a marketing guy? Can you guys?
Yeah, you do. I love it.
I agree with what Stacy's saying, but that seems long to me. Does it seem like it's kind of long-winded of a sentence?
It doesn't just roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
I'm a long-winded guy, Trish. That's probably why I like it. It is kind of long. I'll give you that, but I don't know. What do you guys, I mean, obviously you like them all because you came up with them, but somewhere in your company, you have to have an opinion. And I'd like to hear what staff thinks too.
Would you like me to go with that? Sure.
Oh, obviously, we're not good at making a decision about marketing. Let's ask the experts.
Well, they had a whole slew of these to pick from. So these were just 5 that really spoke to us the most. I think all of us agreed on the history lives and adventure awaits. That was all, I think, in at least our top 2. But you don't always have to stick with just one tagline. So you can, if we do circulate them, depending upon, what we're doing or the time of year or an event that we're surrounding. So it isn't a nail in the coffin, only one situation if we want it to be that way. But these are the ones that just kind of spoke to us. And then I think, it also depends on who we're targeting and which ones we want to use for that too. So, keep an open mind that we don't have to have just a single one. So that's kind of why we wanted to present 5 today. But for me, the history lives and adventure awaits was one that spoke to me really well as too. And there's a lot that we can do with the Nevada's heartbeats here. And I think once we nail down the logo, I think that's going to speak to a lot of if that ties into that too. We just want to make sure we're on the right path. And it sounds like I think we are. Does anyone else have any input they want to share on that?
Yeah, I'll echo what Lydia said. We were keeping in mind the idea of being the center point. You were talking about sort of launching, going out, whether it's the lake or, whatever adventure you may have. Your adventure could be visiting the museums, right? Your adventure could be hiking up at Tahoe, riding a bike, taking the V&T, right? And just that idea of being able to understand that adventure means something different to people, but not letting go of the history that we have here in Carson City and what that history means to the state of Nevada and really the western United States, right? Nevada's heart beats here. The way that I looked at that, because I personally like that one, I know what you're saying about it being generic, but I was envisioning this idea of you're seeing these amazing murals, right? Or you just came from an amazing music performance, or you're cruising down the Ash to Kings Trail on your mountain bike, or you're just coming upon Lake Tahoe after you arrive down at Skunk Harbor. So that idea of emotionally that connection was kind of the way I was looking at that, as far as where I saw that crossover from history, seeing the V&T locomotive, just the pulsating, the ground shaking, when the 18 is running. I think that just kind of tugs at you emotionally. So I thought that played out very nicely for arts, for culture, history, heritage, and also the outdoor recreation. So that was why that one was in there, because I thought that didn't call attention to either or, right? It's something historical or arts related, or it's adventure related, right? I thought that might play out nicely, and as Lydia said, it's not to say that we always have to have the exact same line in place, because things might make more sense for whatever we're doing as we move forward, right, with our marketing and our public relations efforts. So I think it could speak to people differently. So that was kind of the idea on the inclusion of the Nevada heartbeats here. But yeah, I love the history lives and adventure awaits too, so.
Yeah, I kind of look at it from 2 separate points. One thing is the logo, and it has to tie into this. So I don't know. I think how do you tie it into heartbeats here? I don't know, because we're talking about adventure and history. And then the other thing is, to me, a tagline makes you want to dig more, right? That's what it's for. I could, I'm not the marketing guy, but I don't, which one makes you go, oh, I need to go further than just the tagline? And maybe that's, history.
I like the concept. I mean, I thought we were kind of picking one as in the past where we sort of always just had one. And I really like the idea that you're telling me you're comfortable using more than one, because I think that means we can kind of interchange those and we can use them at different times for different things. So I would be fine with that.
That is the plan, yeah, absolutely, to be able to do that. And there's also nothing that says, with the logo, when we present, where we get at the December meeting, we don't have to have a tagline associated with the logo. We can run with Visit Carson City as well. And if we do a good job of putting together, the sort of a typographical type logo, it should be able to stand on its own, and I think without the
Without a tagline.
This is everything, and whatever tagline you put.
Yeah, subtly, I think, and that's what we're working on with the team, and that's why we need a little bit of extra time to come up with that, and so they're working very hard, KPS3, on some revisions for another round that we'll take a look at, I think, later on this week on Friday, so with the goal of presenting that to all of you at the December meeting. So I want to get it right. I think it's super critical that we get that logo lockup correctly in place, because we want to be able to use that for several years to come, so.
Yeah, I think in terms of time, I think you should take the time you need to get it right. That's my opinion. If you don't think, I'm just one person, but if you don't think you can do it by December, I don't have an issue with doing it in January. I just, you guys should plug your ears. I'm talking to Dave, but because he's going to give you direction. But just that, I really agree with you. It needs to be right.
Yeah, I would agree. If there's any doubt, why go forward with it until we're all sure? As to the taglines, I guess, like a lot of meetings, we didn't decide anything. We like them all, I guess.
No, I appreciate that feedback. I think, the bottom four, maybe with the exception of Recharge Your Western Spirit, we think that those are all in alignment with the way that we want to drive our messaging. So I
I even
appreciate
think that one, depending on the event, you might be able to find something that makes sense for.
As far as we're talking about adventure and history, an adventure can be just not, jamming down Ash Canyon or going up to Tahoe, and it can be, going over to the west side over here and exploring the homes over there, and so everybody has their own idea of what an adventure.
Yeah.
So I like that we're incorporating all that, and that top one, Recharge Your Western Spirit, I think it could come into play somewhere down the line when people realize, hey, we're just not, we've showed them the adventure part of it, and we let them choose their adventure, and then pretty soon they're finding their Western spirit. So I think, and I like that we are going to change out our taglines. I'm for that too. I think that's a great idea.
Excellent. Thank you for your guys' feedback. That was really good.
All right. So we got to spend a couple amazing days on a photo shoot in early October, and we could have not been more lucky with our timing on that, around the Capitol building and down by the river. It was gorgeous. So I think we were able to capture some beautiful sides of Carson. So I just wanted to take you through some of that, a highlight reel, essentially. And we did plan this shot list based on what we wanted to cover in our brand pillars and in alignment with the content that we want to refresh on the website. So this was our day at the Capitol building. Oh, yeah. There we go. So we were very fortunate to be able to capture this lovely red vine that was growing up the side of the Capitol building. And we did capture it at a couple different angles. So this is a side that maybe not everybody sees. You might not have the dome in it, but still shows the beauty of the grounds. We went to the Brewery Arts Center and were able to capture some of the beauty of that mural and the street art that was there. So posted up there. And then we also went inside to capture some of that shopping cafe experience as well. We went downtown and we cruised the Kit Carson Trail and got really lucky with our lighting that day. And again, I don't think there's too many Halloween objects that we can see in that one. And then the McFadden Plaza. We had the fireplace going and got that nice autumn glow on that one. We cruised up to the golf course. Had a beautiful bluebird day. We were joking about maybe having to add clouds to this. And then we went up to Sea Hill for some hiking and trail running. So captured a couple different sides of our valley here. I know, how lucky are we? And then we went down to the Carson River to Ambrose Park. We had some canoers. And some fly fishing as well. And then lastly, we have our Skunk Harbor shoot. So we were able to get some downhill mountain bikers. They're both actually competitive mountain bikers. And had them posed up on some scenic outlooks here. And then down at the water, we actually made the hike down. Had them do a little quick change in a hiking gear, so kind of double dipped on the mountain biking and hiking at Skunk Harbor. And then we also have a drone video to show you guys. This is a little bit of a highlight reel. We did force them to go about, it's not coming through with the HDMI cord. There is a soundtrack. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think you want me to. To be really careful with the fly fishing with the drone around. We did also encounter a rattlesnake while we were up there. It's an adventure. Adventure abounds. Awesome. So that's the drone reel. So we're able to capture some really beautiful photos, and the entire time really keeping in mind where we're going to use these, making sure that they were going to fit for the website, and then really just creating a nice visual library to use for years to come.
Did you just use, who did you use to, there weren't people around, you had actors, or you got people to
Yeah, we wrangled friends and family basically to be the most cost effective, and then Jeff Dow was our photographer.
Yeah.
It almost looked like you just stumbled on the canoers, but those were plants, you're telling me.
Yeah, Matt travels everywhere with his canoe, so
And
we had him
do
bring
we
that
own
out.
those photos?
We own everything, the drone footage, the
That's really
video,
good. Those are
the
really good pictures.
Photos.
Really good pictures.
And who included?
They'll go on the
Andy
website.
included, yes. And, well, yeah, we own everything, yeah.
Yeah, this will be used for our print advertising. This is our main photo stock. So we definitely invested in this photo shoot for that purpose, that these are going to be really our main promotional photos for the website, for print, for whatever we need them for.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay now for our media.
Hello, for the record, Lindsay Crone. So today I'm going to cover the Travel Nevada media mission that our VP of Public Relations, Chrissy Abu, went on in October. It was held October 29th in New York City at the Alger House. There were 46 journalists that attended, including freelancers and influencers. Many of these journalists had not traveled to Nevada outside of Vegas, so it was a great opportunity to show everything that Nevada has to offer, not just focused on Las Vegas. The partners included Visit Reno Tahoe Territory, Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority, as well as Camp Las Vegas, the Vox Agency, and Ambrose Banana Whiskey. For agency attendance, in addition to KPS3, there was Falgren Morton, which is Travel Nevada's agency, the Abbey Agency, which is also Travel Nevada's agency, Jacker Royal, which is Visit Reno Tahoe's agency, and the Vox Agency. Out of the 46 media attendees, I just wanted to highlight that there were pretty significant media there. There was CNN, Travel and Leisure, Newsweek, Martha Stewart Living, Samantha Brown's Places to Love, which is part of PBS, and USA Today. And some of the event highlights, which I'll show you some pictures in the next couple slides, included the haunted map showcasing Nevada's ghost towns, the ET Highway, and more. There were holograms and actors of the 5 Nevada ghosts. The ET Highway, there was a photo op for the ET Highway with a flying saucer and an ET visitor. There was a weird wall featuring photos from the quirky locations around the state, as well as a vintage photo booth. There was Weird Nevada slideshow showcasing more haunted locations around the state. There was a featured cocktail called the Manhattan, which was Nevada's own Ambrose whiskey, and then some Nevada-inspired food offerings. So here are some photos that highlight those items: the ghostly guide, the photo wall, the map of the quirky places around the state. And then these were the photo opportunities with the ET extraterrestrial person. Chrissy will be working with this media, following up with all of our news and press releases that they should be aware about. And so moving forward, we'll have this opportunity to work with the public, the media on any important stories that we want to get across to the media.
Yeah,
Any
and
questions?
if I can just add on to that, thank you, Lindsay. I think it was a great opportunity for us to get some exposure to these media who really don't truly know about anything other than Las Vegas, right, in Nevada. And the cost of entry was just a plane ticket and a hotel for Chrissy. So the other costs were covered by Travel Nevada. So I want to thank them for allowing us to participate and be our own entity, outside of the Reno Tahoe territory. So I think it benefited us very well.
Does anyone have any questions?
Go ahead, Stacey.
Of the 46 journalists, were there decision makers there? Were they rank and file journalists? Can you kind of characterize that for us?
Based on the list that I saw, they were different levels. There were editors, there were writers, freelancers. So there was definitely a mix of people attending.
Did you get a sense that they're interested in moving out of their Las Vegas cocoon?
It does sound that way.
Yeah. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Let's move to item 9, a presentation of the economic impact of tourism in Carson City. David?
Thank you, Chair Jones. Lydia is going to bring this up on the TV screen for you. While she does that, it's better late than never. I know it seems a little odd that we're talking about calendar 2018 data, but there were some delays with the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Bureau of Economic Research, which are sources of information for tourism economics in terms of the modeling that they do, not only on the state level, but probably more importantly on the county level to derive their analyses for each of the 17 counties in Nevada. So normally we would see this information in August or so, but again, with some of the delays and some of the adjustments that had to be made to a couple of the more rural counties, that's why the timing of it is now on the November agenda. So I'm just going to hit some of the highlights here for the board. So Lydia, if you'll, there, perfect, okay. So in your packets, you also have this as well. These are 2018, calendar 18 numbers for Carson City County. So we did 198 million. This is direct visitor spending that you see on the bar charts on the bottom. And then you can just kind of see the share of the spending for 2018. Our single biggest source is gaming at just over 30%, followed by retail, just under 22%, and then recreation at 19.5%, food and beverage 13%, and then lodging accommodations 9%, transportation at 5.8%. So that's the allocation of that $198 million in direct visitor spending. And then you can see the actual allocations in terms of the millions that make up that $198 million. So Lydia, if you'll go to the, thank you. Again, sticking with just calendar 2018. So you see the direct number in that first column, and you've got employment, just under over 2,400 employees in the hospitality and tourism industry. Labor income or earnings, as I like to say, just under $76 million. Taxes, $18.3 million for federal and then the state and local taxes. And then that second column where you see total. So that's the total, if you include secondary, which is induced and indirect, along with the direct impacts for tourism. So there you see just under 4,000 employees, labor income of 137 million, and then taxes 29.2 and 25.3 million. But if you look at what tourism economics refers to as total business sales of $339.2 million, that's really the total economic impact of tourism for Carson City County. So that's direct plus the secondary, and secondary has the induced and indirect components to it. If you can go another page, perfect, okay. So these are the comparisons that we have right now available to us just looking at calendar 2017 versus calendar 2018. So we went from about 192 million in 17 on the direct visitor spending to 198. And then for all intents and purposes, employment is dropped a little bit, but it's more or less a wash. And then labor income up about 7 million or so on that page. And then Lydia, thank you. Again, sticking with 17 versus 18. So total business sales or total economic impact went up from about 329 to 339 million from 17 to 18. Employment, again, dropped a little bit. And then labor income from 124.6 to 137 million. And then tax increases a little bit as well from 17 to 18 for the federal taxes, as well as state and local taxes. In this page, I just put a slide together just to kind of show trend in terms of the data that we have available to us. This is direct visitor spending only, and I just wanted the board to be able to see the growth in terms of the individual categories that make up direct visitor spending. So you can see back in 2014, we were at 173.2 million, and calendar 2018, 198 million. And you can see the growth rates. So from a 5-year perspective, I think it was about 3.1, 3.2% average growth over that 5-year calendar period. And then there's just definitions for the board to see what is and is not included in those categories. So I think we're doing quite nicely, and I would expect for calendar 2019 to see somewhere between, I think, 3% and 4% growth in terms of my conversations with the state research folks. So I think it's good, all things considered. So if there are any questions, I am happy to attempt to answer those at this time. Thank you.
My only question is how they gather the information. So I guess, if I look at retail, includes visitor spending and all, how do they determine I'm a visitor?
Yeah, so there is some proprietary modeling that they include, but I will tell you in terms of sourcing, there's the Bureau of Economic Analysis data, there's Bureau of Labor Statistics. They look at the tax revenue, so primary fiscal data as well that comes from the state, sales and use taxes, gaming taxes, entertainment taxes, all the taxes, they pull that information in from the state. We, of course, share with the 3/8 of 1% that goes to Travel Nevada. That's also a source for lodging tax data. They do have some validation checks. So our visitor study data that was presented by Kyle from Travel Nevada, that information is also available to them. So they're actually looking at visitor spending for those folks that stay overnight or day trip in Carson City as well. And they look at those shares of what the visitation looks like in terms of what the state puts together. They do their own calculations as well off that. I know they have Visa View data. There's a lot of different sources of information that they do take into consideration, especially in looking at international share and international impact on Nevada. I don't know how deep they go on the county level, differentiating between domestic and international visitors. But there are a lot of sources of that information that is available to them. And like I said, on the visitor side of it, they do use a lot of the Travel Nevada data, specifically for the rural areas. I know in the urban centers, they're also looking at the CVA, the Convention of Visitors Authority data for like Reno and Las Vegas as a validation checkpoint on that as well.
Thanks. Any other questions on this? Let's move on to action item 10, discussion and possible action regarding the CTA Statement of Accounts Payable checks for September 2019. David?
Thank you, Chair Jones. In your packets, you will be reviewing the invoices listed for accounts payable checks totaling $63,826.98 for September 2019. And I will hit the highlights on what we have on checks payable for this particular month. So on page 2, the first two, Konica Minolta, the 1581 is for the additional clicks for that particular time period. And again, I'll remind everybody, that's when all the events are going on, right? And so this is that one quarter where we're going to be over because of all the printing that we're doing for all the events that take place beginning of summer and obviously through the end of summer. The second payment for $1137.50, that's the quarterly maintenance cost for the big printer. Down below, Travelers, the $2740, that's for the auto policy and then the umbrella policy. So if you recall, the last meeting, we had one more payment to make. That payment has gone through and been made. So we are fully paid up on all of our insurance policies for the fiscal year. Down below, Avante Interactive, that's the digital strategy. So Lydia works with both of those companies, Avante Interactive, and then Andrea's Primo is the social media strategy company that Lydia is working with. And in addition to working with those folks, she's also receiving the training on both digital strategy and building campaigns, as well as social media strategy and building campaigns. So those payments cover us for this fiscal year, and those are both grant funded through the Commission on Tourism, excuse me. And then if you can turn to page 3, at the top of that page, those are the KPS 3 payments. So just friendly reminder, we have the content public relations contract, and then we also have the web CRM e-marketing contract. So those are the two payments for the work that KPS3 did in the month of August. And so you can see we're ramping up, obviously, on the website, this late summer, early fall. Conica Minolta, those are the Duplo lease and then the print lease, the monthly costs. And again, we're ahead of the game, so no longer are we receiving the late fees or anything. So we're sort of almost in a kind of a prepayment mode, but we've got that all resolved and sorted out. Nevada Day, so that was our diamond sponsorship of the 2019 Nevada Day Parade with Ken and team. Down below, the first vital signs, just highlight that that's for the stickers. So that was a full year's worth of stickers that we purchased. And that's it for my highlights, but I'm happy to address questions on any of the other checks payable.
Any questions for the statement of accounts? All right. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the CTA account activity statements of accounts payable checks for September 2019.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. On to item 11, discussion and possible action regarding the adjusted CTA fiscal year 20 budget report. David, again?
Thank you, Chair Jones. In your packet, you have a comparative statement of adjusted revenue totaling $521,217.71. Expenses totaling $285,436.50.
Excuse me, Dave, we didn't have, none of us had that in our packet.
I don't have that either.
I reviewed it online, but it's not in the packet.
Can you give them? Hang tight and we'll share a copy with you if that's okay, so everybody can at least take a look at it.
Like I said, I looked at it online, but
As did I.
Okay. Trish, did you have a chance, or Mike, to look at it online? Okay, can we share a copy with Trish? Maybe. James, will you check and see if
can you see this here, Trish? If I hold that up? That's good, we're good, we're good.
Okay. I apologize for it not being in your hard copy packets. Let me just restate what we're going to be looking at, if that's okay with you, Chair Jones. So again, we're going to be reviewing a comparative statement of adjusted revenue totaling $521,217.71, expenses totaling $285,436.50, and a fund balance for all the CTA funds totaling $1,798,178.21. So with that, appearing if you need that, I'll just hit some of the highlights for you. So we're looking at the accounting period, the third accounting period of the fiscal year, which is through September, so we're 25% of the fiscal year. And on the revenues, these are all of the remittances we've received from properties through the 30th of September, which for all intents and purposes is based on August collections, right? So just a reminder on that front. If you'll come down to refunds, reimbursements, you'll see just over $20,000. That was a sale of the trailer plus the credit memo, because we asked for and received the check for the reimbursement from Conica Minolta for the mix-up with the color and the black and white. And then on the printing, which we do have in the budget now, the $1,000 is the first of two payments that we're going to receive from Nevada Magazine. So we'll get another $1,000 in for the job that we did for them. And I think by December, it's possible you'll also see the revenue, the print revenue from our partner at V&T with Elaine Spencer as well, because they reimburse us for all of the jobs that we do on behalf of the V&T as well. So it's just kind of a timing thing when revenues come in and get loaded in the system and then show up on the report. So that number should be, I think, close to $3,000, I think, by the December meeting. If you'll go to page 3, just no payments, again, made on any of the intergovernmental expenditures yet. We're still working on that. So just remind the board on that front. And then if you will turn to page 4, So the first line training conference workshops, that includes the DMA conferences as well as the Governor's Conference on Tourism or the Governor's Global Tourism Summit, and then also TTRA on that as well. Office equipment rental lease, that includes the Quantica Minolta lease and the different payments. And then, as I mentioned earlier about the insurance, with that $2,704, we are paid in full for fiscal '20. And then page 5 is just sort of our master budget report. That's what goes to taxation. So we're a little early in the year to start making adjustments, but we will be taking a look at that once we get through the month of December. And then Chris and I are going to sit down and we'll kind of move some money around where we need to accordingly based on the expenses that we're encountering. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions, concerns? All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the adjusted fiscal year 20 budget report as presented through September 30th, 2019.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. On to monthly non-action items, item 12 for presentation and discussion only. Executive Director update, David.
Thank you, Chair Jones. I just have 3 items that I want to cover this month because I really want to make sure I give the time that's due to the great work that Lydia and James have put in on their respective areas. So with that, I just want to give a quick staffing update. An offer was made to an individual for the multimedia content coordinator position who has accepted the job. She's going to start on December 2nd, and the plan is to introduce her at the December board meeting. So that's my quick update on staffing. Grants update. So the Commission on Tourism will be meeting on December 11th, and we will know at that point whether or not we receive any funding for the 2 grants that we submitted for the second cycle marketing grant program. If you recall, one was for special events marketing, and the other grant was to do some web usability research for the new website, obviously, that's coming online next month. And then we are also working right now on the grant to support the Kit Carson Trail. So this is the PRT, or the Projects Related to Tourism grant, where we're going to look at getting those sandstones to install and put in front of 20 to 25 locations as we kind of reimagine what that Kit Carson Trail tour looks like. So that particular grant program closes on January 17th. So we're working on getting estimates for the cost of installation, working with Silver State Industries on the cost of the sandstone as well, because this grant program is following suit with the changes that were made on the marketing grant program, so we do have to have estimates to accompany our grant request. So we're working on that, got a couple months to get this all squared up and figured out. And then the last thing, we were all, Lydia, James, we were at the 2019 Nevada Governor's Global Tourism Summit all of last week, including the sales and media marketplaces, and I'll let James and Lydia talk about their experiences there, which I think was just a fantastic opportunity. The content was phenomenal. It was just a really, really great conference. There was a lot of discussion about arts and culture and its relevance to tourism and the visitor experience and how to enhance that visitor experience. In addition, there were some sessions that covered how to work with Google. So I thought I knew a lot about what was going on with Google, but boy, I was absolutely blown away with how they are expanding the tourism sphere, I guess, with their products and offerings and these travel guides, which I learned that James is a level 5 travel guide for Carson City, and I felt like a schmuck, quite frankly, that I didn't even know what that meant. But I'll tell you, James and Lydia are on top of what's going on with Google, and we learned some things about the website and integration. So working with the folks at KPS3 who were also in attendance at that particular session to make sure that we're up to speed with code on our website. So that was great. And then they talked about the incorporation of augmented reality and virtual reality in the visitor destination experience. So I was super excited about that because at the last meeting, Lydia showed you what we're doing with the Google Content Creator for the Kit Carson Trail to digitize that experience. And so we learned really cool additional opportunities that I think might lend themselves to doing something like that with our museums and riding mountain bikes on the trails or hiking on our trails. And I have some ideas too about the V&T, how to digitize that and kind of bring that to life as well. So it was a really great opportunity. We had a fantastic booth. These guys did an amazing job setting up the booth, and I'm sorry that I didn't flash a picture up there for all of you to see the booth. And we had the TV running and the video playing, and I know they had a lot of people coming over and inquiring about Carson City and wanting to get their media kits and media packets and sales packets, and so they did a great job, So with that, any questions that the board may have, I'm happy to answer.
Nancy, an occupancy report? Is it you, Chris, or is it David?
David likes to.
It's that's not true.
I don't believe that.
No, yeah, I'm shy. So we had a good month. August was a good month. I'll just hit some of the highlights, and it's this particular sheet in your packet, the two-sided sheet. In terms of the overall room tax revenue, we were up 5.83% from $2.29 million to $2.42 million. And I think it's a good month. In terms of calendar year, looking at January through August 2019, just under 14.4 million as compared to 13.1 million in calendar 18. So that increase, that 1.26 million represents about a 10% increase so far for the first 8 months of the calendar year. And then on a fiscal year basis, comparing July, well, basically it's July and August, right? First 2 months of the fiscal year, we're up 141,000 or just under 3%. I won't get into the 18 and the 17 because again, that's where we get into those dynamics about FEMA back in 2017. So I think that's an unfair comparison in trying to look at 19, 18 because 17 included FEMA. But if you come down to RevPAR down below, you'll see we were up $3.64 or 6.1% overall for August. And then taking a look at the average daily rate, we saw a pretty big increase on, we're more or less flat on the top 5, but the top 6 to 13, we were up 18.1%. So that's, again, good to see that. And you'll see as we look at, on the flip side of that page, in terms of our rooms available and then our rooms occupied, we're down slightly, 160 rooms or so for the month overall. But again, that takes into consideration some of the 28-day plus rooms. But again, I think it's good to see we're being led by average daily rate. We're able to charge more. The hotel properties are doing a great job of being able to get a little more, out of the visitor. And I think that speaks well to Carson City and that the visitor is willing to pay that additional rate. I think that speaks highly about the quality rooms that we do have in Carson City. So with that, just the highlights, if there are any questions about the numbers, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
No, I think you see that group, the 6 through 13, did a better job of yielding their rooms. And that's where the room is to grow. The high end is the high end. You're kind of not going to get. So that was good to see people paying more attention, I guess. Any other questions for David on occupancy? All right, how about marketing and public relations update, Lydia?
All right. So we've got a few things going on this month. Obviously, with Nevada Day behind us, we've got a good update for you on all of the content that we pulled from that crazy weekend. But to start, we'll go with the public relations report too. And just to tail right off of the media marketplace that Chrissy Yabu and I had attended, we did it together. So we pitched everyone together, which I think with her experience and my lack of an experience, but knowledge about Carson City, I think we were a great team. So we met with all I don't have a slide on this, just kind of updating you on this, but we met with 10 different international writers or publications or tour group operators. And we have quite a few writers that we'd love to bring into Carson City that we think we can partner with the Reno Tahoe territory as well, and a lot of people to follow up with. So I definitely think it was a very fruitful experience going into that. And the tourism conference, they talked a lot about the virtual reality, which some of you guys got to experience the headset and walk the Kit Carson Trail. So that just was very reassuring, and that we're headed in the right direction, and gave me a better idea of how to deploy that in a meaningful way that gets in the right hands of the right people who want to experience things that way. But to the public relations report, in October, we reached 82.5 million unique visitors. We reached 167,700 people. We had a publicity value of $50,900. And year to date, we've reached 3.4 million people. So those are not impressions. Those are individuals who saw our content. We've 265,800 unique visitors per month, and a total publicity value of $248,600. And that photo on the right is at Charlie B. Gallery, and that was from the Getaway Reno Tahoe group that came to town, and really did some great pieces on us, and we'll be writing a lot more in the future. We got to spend like 3 hours speaking with Stacy Montooth at the Stewart Indian School, just about how to help better promote them in general, and be a better partner, but also just learn more about what they've got going on there. And we're really excited to see what comes of that after getting them over there. I won't list these off, but if you want to go to this slide, we have a slew of PR reports, which we've sent a lot of these over to you previously, but a lot of them about the Ghost Walk and Nevada Day, of course, but we're really happy seeing with what we've got, and also the live stream from the Grassroots Broadcast Network to live stream the Nevada Day Parade was a great addition to that. Some social media stats, just purely for the month of October. We're up 5.1%. So our total following right now is 16,607 people. And our growth is 813 just in this month. We did run a giveaway with Home Means Nevada Co. On Instagram that was really successful. And that's where you're seeing that big spike in the red. And I think we'll continue to do that every year with them. We definitely see a boost every time we've done that. And so social media just isn't, we're not using it just for pure impressions and eyeballs on ads, but we're also using these dollars until we get our website fully up and running. We've been running lead generation campaigns. So we are running heavy, as you saw in the media spend on social media, but we've actually gained quite a few people who are requesting information from us. So we've got some really solid leads from there who've actually given us their name, address, and their email addresses. So to date, since February, we've collected over 760 email addresses through Facebook alone. We've had 500 emails collected from the visitor guide requests on our website, which ads drive people to that landing page. And also we did have collected those through Google advertising as well. And I'm hoping that you're on our email list. If not, I will for sure make sure that you are on our newsletter emails. But we do have over 15,000 subscribers now from our previous list, and these that we've added that we're consistently getting newsletters to now.
Lydia, are those two unique, the 760 and the 500, are they?
Those are separate, yes.
Yeah.
Those are not inclusive of each other. One thing that we tried this month was Pinterest advertising, which is something I had not dived into, and I'm mad at myself that I didn't before because it was incredibly successful for really cheap. So we used our blog post that KPS3 helps us write every month. That's part of their package with us and part of their contract, and put a pretty picture on it and posted it as a pin and boosted the post. And we had over 1,000 clicks that clicked on that to our blog post page. We had 80,000 views and 261 people that pinned it to their board, meaning that they're going to want to use that as a reference later on. So we were really happy with those numbers, and we spent $113 on that campaign. So we're getting a lot of traction through Pinterest. So all of these writers and bloggers that are coming in, yes, are they posting on social media for us as influencers, but they're also getting us great blog posts and content that we can repurpose, and it's been most successful on Pinterest. So I'm excited to really deploy this and see what else we can do throughout the year. So as far as video and photo and influencers and fam tours, we did have quite a few this month. We had Megan Burke and Todd from Getaway Reno Tahoe, which I just spoke about. Natasha Borland was sent to us from Chrissy, who knows her well. She writes for multiple different magazines. So I toured her around Carson City. She was here for the Ghost Walk. Got to really see some cool parts of Carson City in the fall. And then on November 1st, I hosted Jill Dutton, who is a travel writer that focuses on railways and traveling by rail, but also writes for multiple other travel magazines as well. And then for the influencer side and content creation, we brought in Brian Walker and Kyle Smain, who you're going to see the content we've captured from Nevada Day. So they were here from Thursday to Sunday, just getting a taste of Carson City, and they're actually from South Lake Tahoe, born and raised. Kyle was a professional skier, and Brian is just an adventurer and incredible photographer and videographer as well. So they've known each other since grade school. So they came down for the weekend. We really wanted to capture the essence of the pride that comes from Nevada Day and focus on the people and let them talk about Carson City. And we got a bunch of different individual raw footage interviews that we'll be able to use and own. And so we can repurpose that for the Navigate Like a Nevadan portion of the website. They made a 1-minute video for us that you'll get to see. And we also got some incredible photos, which I would love to show you. And that's in addition to the Instagram and Facebook content that they push for us as well.
We own these photos also.
We own them all. We have all the rights. And moving forward, that's the plan. So they went out to Prison Hill, both of them mountain bike as well, and they just got some really unique photos with the drone too. They enjoyed Blinky Man quite a bit, and I think this is the biggest attendance that it was much bigger than the year before. But we got some really great, unique footage that I think we'll be able to use all around. And when we were pitching Australia and New Zealand, they were asking about really unique events, and the first thing that popped in mind was Blinky Man, and they were enthralled with the idea. And then we had a neon performance art light show with dancers at dinner at the Global Tourism Summit, and all of these ideas were coming to mind around Blinky Man. But I think this is an event that I think will continue to grow. They got some shots of the parade. And we have even more than this, but these were kind of our highlights. But I think he got a really unique perspective with the drone that we didn't have before. And some more from Prison Hill. And then I would like to show you their video. This isn't 100%, where there are a couple little tweaks, but I didn't want to wait until January to show you this, but this is pretty much the meat and potatoes of it. Hopefully this isn't incredibly loud.
The open space, the freedom, there's so many things you could do, from skiing to mountain biking to hiking to the fishing. There's so many things you can do. That's why I love it. I'm big in the outdoors. I love the camping, all that kind of stuff. That's what makes Northern Nevada and Carson City so great.
Such a great parade. It's such a great event. It's been going on for 100 years now, and people look forward to it. And Carson City is just a great host. This is the Carson City event of the year. Kind of speaks to that grittiness, that pioneering spirit of Nevada. We're kind of like the last frontier, and people really can do whatever they want here. We're fiercely independent. We love our outdoor space, and I think people just, they embrace that and they take pride in it. It's an incredible place to live.
So out of that, with work with Brian and Kyle, we got all those photos, assets. We own all the raw footage to that too. And also that he put together that what I think is a pretty awesome video that'll help us promote Nevada Day, but we'll also be able to take and cut out clips of that just for general promotion as well. Do you guys have any questions?
It was great stuff.
Glad to hear it.
The drone footage has really gone to a different level. I think it makes just everything stand out more.
It does. And, I feel like we've been talking about all these changes for so long over the last few months. And so now we're almost to the website. We're getting all the incredible content and then being able to push that into the site. I think we're just all very excited about. And we kind of bet about the logo today and we're on a really solid path for that I'm hoping you guys will be excited about too next month. But thanks.
Yeah. Thank you. James, events and sales update?
Yes. Thank you. So just to recap, I know David touched on the Nevada Governor's Tourism Summit, and there was an opportunity for me to actually attend a sales marketplace where I get an opportunity to meet with numerous people that either do tours or have partners with people that are tour operators through the state and also internationally. And what's interesting about this format is you get roughly 75 minutes to meet with as many people as possible in like 7-minute increments. And so it's like a brief introduction, introduce myself to them, kind of talk about Carson City, ask questions about what's important to them when it comes to things that they need in order for them to do tours in this region. Obviously, with such a small time frame, you couldn't speak to everyone, but we do have a list of contacts for every single individual that attended that sales marketplace. And so we've already, as I got back into the office this morning, we started making those connections, sending those emails. Obviously, the big picture here is I would make these connections. We would start working together, potentially maybe do a fam tour or even start coordinating for some of these international tour operators to schedule tours here in Carson City. And then from there, the transition would take place to where I would coordinate that with the lodging properties and hand them off to them in terms of their planning. But as we continue down this path with the sales mission, this is kind of the format of how things will look. But it was an interesting conversation to meet with so many people, especially since we've been out of that sales realm for so long. Carson City is basically a brand new opportunity for them. Speaking with some people that I can recall, New Zealand, they really want to visit smaller cities. They've been to big cities, and so their big push right now is to focus on smaller cities, smaller communities, and also interact with the locals. So putting together a plan in order for them to be able to accomplish that with maybe a fam tour or even schedule, emails and sightseeing and that kind of thing is something that I am planning in preparation for. Obviously, this is like a long-term plan for that, but it's with this opportunity at Global Tourism Summit, it gave us a really good understanding of what we are kind of dealing with in terms of the perception of Carson City and our need to kind of fill some of the wants and needs of people from international countries. So it was a very good opportunity for me to kind of open the door and see where that leads to. Tying in with that, I know we've touched on this before, NTA Travel Exchange is coming up December 7th through the 13th. This is the major upcoming event, in addition to a basketball tournament that is taking place December 13th through the 15th here in Carson City, and I'll talk on those momentarily. So, International NTA Travel Exchange. This is a motor coach tour. A lot of buyers are here, and I am there to sell Carson City as a destination to this motor coach tour business. The way that this format actually works is from October 14th to November 4th, all of your appointments, you have to try and schedule them online, which requires searching for people that motor coach tours that are in the region, around the region, or have done business in the region, connecting with them, and then from there, when the appointments close, NTA actually books the actual scheduling when it comes travel exchange. So between October 14th and November 4th, I was able to request 38 preset appointments. And on November 18th, which is tomorrow, this is the time where if there's some people that we could not get scheduled through that preset appointment, this is our opportunity to, today. This is our opportunity to actually reach out to them and try to schedule that person-to-person interaction. They do open up a lot of opportunities for us. For example, at Travel Exchange, when we get there, as obviously David and myself, we've never actually been there, but I've read so many articles, watched so many videos that I have a pretty good understanding of the format and how it's going to function. And I know that there will be opportunities for us to actually meet with some of the people that we weren't able to get appointments with. One of the opportunities that we've actually are doing with the rest of our state partners is we will actually be doing a presentation as a group. So each of us will be given 5 minutes to pitch Carson City, in addition to Reno, Ely, Elko, and whoever else is attending from the states. Travel Nevada will be there doing a presentation as well. So we're kind of doing things individually, but at one point in time, we're all going to come together as the state of Nevada and pitch to a group of buyers. So that's something that we are looking forward to. And obviously, the work doesn't actually start until you get back, when you actually follow up with a lot of these people. Yes.
I don't know if this still goes on, but years ago, I mean, I'm talking probably 20 years ago, my aunts would, through the church, do these motor coach tours. That's why I brought it up. They would leave from the San Francisco Bay Area. They'd bus them up to Reno or to Carson. They'd, have a quantity of money from one of the casinos in the hotel room and a buffet, and then, they'd gamble till they either passed out or just, from not eating or whatever. But do those still, do those still happen? Is that still going on, or is that really kind of dead now?
No, they still exist. I've been working on trying to drive more.
Microphone.
Sorry, they do still exist. It's bigger in the Reno market.
Yeah.
That's where I've worked with it most. There's a few big companies and then a lot of little ones that are owned by people that kind of work out of their house and rent the bus and make these tours, but it's still something that exists. I don't think it's that big in Carson at this point, so I've been trying to dig into how to
Could
make
it be?
that.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
It is.
I mean, these were sponsored by they were sponsored by the church. I mean, it was a ladies group at the church, and there were 40 of them, and I remember clear as day because I'd go meet her in Reno for dinner or whatever, and
Yeah.
Right, and that's part of the sales mission is also the education portion of it, right? A lot of these people that are planning those types of tours don't even know what Carson City has to offer. And back in February, I put together a list of all of the motor coach friendly hotels, motor coach friendly restaurants, meaning that they can pull up and park. They have access for 50 amount of people. So that list is already compiled. It's just a matter of finding those buyers and reaching out to them to coordinate those efforts.
For casino stops versus another type of leisure, we have to look at, Mike and I would have to look at on the back end what the casino offers and pays, because I'm looking to try to drive a bus that's doing Reno to come to Carson and then go back, or the lake and come back. So it's a little bit of an effort since it hasn't been here in a long time.
Yeah.
Really, with from your aunt's time, they've got to reinvent those tours because those were all really casino based, right? And so the problem was, if the bus goes to Reno first and then comes to Carson, your aunt's got no more money, right? And so the Carson people would say, "Look, it's not. I'm giving this. I'm giving them a $5 food coupon, and that they're just going to eat and run out of money." So it's morphing into something different now, and it's in that transition period where I think this is part of it, where they're seeing more than just they want to see more than just the inside of a casino.
Yeah, the pitch is definitely in alignment with our mission and goal to be the hub. So, I mean, it's,
And if I can just add something to that, on the international side, we need to proactively look at the receptive operators in the Bay Area, right? And maybe LA is down the road, but I think that there's some opportunity there on the international front. I'm learning as I go on the motor coach side of it, and whether or not we have some opportunities with some of the receptives in the Sacramento, well, not Sacramento, more San Francisco. SAC may be an option as well, but I think the opportunity really lies in the Bay Area. Not just with motor coach, but also on the international side. So it's developing those relationships, right? And getting those folks to do more than just stop on Reno if they're going across 80, to get them to spend a couple of nights in this area. And I think that's where we come in. And maybe it starts with a day trip, a half a day, right? A morning or an afternoon. And when they get here and they realize, oh my gosh, we have a lot of things that make sense in the case of motor coach operators to work then that overnight stay in. But right now, they don't know what they don't know. And so a lot of what we're doing here is we're just trying to get out there, educate people, get us back on the map, from a product standpoint, right? I say we need to get Carson City on the product map with these folks, that we're an option for them when they're bringing these groups to Northern Nevada, because right now we're not on that quote product map, so to speak. So I think James is right. There's a lot of education that we can provide, and this is our first go around with NTA. You'll hear we'll also be at the Go West Summit in March. We'll talk about that, at future board meetings. But the unique opportunity we have here is NTA is coming to Reno next year, right, James?
Yes.
Yeah, next year. So there's going to be multiple pre and post FAM tours, right, that we have an opportunity to be a part of as well. And I think it's important for us to be there at NTA this year in Fort Worth so they can put we're both going, for this first go around. Part of that is I want to do some outreach in my capacity with some of these folks as well. James will obviously be handling, the appointments, and I'll sit in with him. But just to get the, name with face so we can be a big part of the pre and post FAM tours next year. For this. And then the same opportunity presents itself with Go West Summit. So that was something I had committed to in my former position to do and host 6 pre and post FAMs as well, right, for Go West Summit. So I think getting that visibility and just setting the groundwork for these next few years is going to be very good for Carson City.
and we've already started working with Sports Leisure Travel. They're an agency in Sacramento that does international tours as well as overnight tours here to the region. They specifically go to Lake Tahoe, and then they also go to Carson Valley for like the photography work that they do down there in early spring. And so we've already connected, and we will be meeting with them also at NTA to kind of further discuss some of the opportunities. We've already kind of discussed the opportunity for them to come attend one of our ghost tours here, and the owner and operator of that is actually really excited about that. So we're hoping to kind of sell this, to open up just a small opportunity for us to get one night, but at the same time, it's more of a collective effort to kind of grow this. So. And we mentioned the DVO basketball tournament is actually a Native American tournament. We were able to pull this from Gardnerville last year, and they have 27 teams that they did last year, and so it's our hope to get to 35 teams this year. Obviously, it's not just for the Native American boys. Anyone can actually enroll and participate. It's actually co-ed, and I apologize for that. But we are hoping that this event will continue to grow to offer one of the few tournaments that we can actually do in December. As our peak kind of slows down in October, this event here, we are hoping that it will get us to that point where it'll be one of the key events that kind of covers, in addition to sometimes when we have the swim meets here in December as well. So to have 2 of those marquee events taking place would be a great thing for Carson City to have. Any questions on that one? No? Okay. That's it, guys.
Chair Jones, if I can just add one thing, as it relates to the Governor's Global Tourism Summit, and no laughing. Even before the summit began, we had interest from Ana Hernandez with Best Day Travel, which is a Mexican entity, a tour operator group that does business to business and business to consumer. They're actually working on partnering with Volaris Airlines, and as you know, we have a direct flight from Guadalajara into Reno, and they have some upcoming advertising campaigns that they're going to be doing to promote Reno and Tahoe. And so before the summit started, and I know that James had a chance to meet with Anna, we had already pushed out an email to the GMs and owners and then the salespeople at the hotels, because she wants to do contracts for FIT business with hotels in Carson City. So again, this is what we're going to be bringing to the lodging partners moving forward. Is we'll work the lead and then we'll do that handoff. But I think it's a great example of kind of, again, small, but we're building the sales program, which James is doing an amazing job at, to again try and bring some additional business to Carson City so we can capture some of these international hotel room nights. So just an example of kind of what happens behind the scenes, and then how we will communicate back to the lodging property so everybody has an equal opportunity to speak with these folks, these tour operators and travel agents, as far as booking business. So just to add a little something about GGTS. So thank you.
All right. On to item E, any requests for future agenda items? Anyone? The board? I mean,
Chair Jones, just a friendly reminder for the next meeting, and I know that's on letter F, but we start at 3, not 4, and then we do have to be done 4:45 because we're kind of sandwiched in between a couple of meetings on that Monday. So we're going to cover the website, so that'll be, again, a final look at the website before we go live. Right before Christmas, we'll have the logo lockup as well. And we are working with Epic Rides on the event analysis, or analyses, I should say, for the year. So if we stay on track, we should have Todd here as well to present the impact findings for that meeting as well. So, and given the time limit, we won't do marketing, PR, and events and sales updates, just to make sure that we can be on time to get out of here, and then we'll regroup with those at the January meeting. So,
great.
When the website is done, when the pillars are done, when everything's all decided, are you planning on maybe, have you talked to Nancy about maybe doing a presentation to the Board of Supervisors on, so I don't know, I don't know if my other board members would be happy to sit through another presentation, but I think it's, I think it's, just don't mention that it was my idea, Dave. I think it would be good for the board to see the work that you all have done or we have done, and just 10 or 15-minute presentation and show some slides and the pictures, and I think it's
happy
important
to do that. Yeah.
And there's generally more interest in a board meeting than, although Anna's here, but there's generally more coverage of a board meeting, and maybe it'll get a little more of the because the audience is packed, we're driving them away, but maybe there'll be a few more people who would be exposed to it, is what I'm hopeful of. So
I think that's a good idea.
Happy to do that.
Yeah. Toot our own horn
I'll
a
talk to
little bit.
Nancy about that.
Let me know, I can run interference if you need help.
All right, moving on, board comments and announcements. I think you just took care of that, David. So we'll, I don't think there's any public comment, so we'll move on from that. So I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.